I've been to it twice. I've been to
Okay,
both
there you
twice.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to one. Have
Exactly.
you?
I've been to that one, and Tel Kepe, and El Qush, and Tiscopa.
Or the villages?
Yeah.
We're talking
Oh,
about the
yeah.
villages right now.
What are you talking about?
Oh, never mind. I thought you said you've been to like a dowry ceremony. Is that
What? I thought you were saying, what's a dowry
I
ceremony?
don't know.
Every mass is technically a dowry ceremony, if you think about it.
Did
God
you find
is a
it?
great teacher.
I did, but this translation uses the word.
This translation. Okay, did you find?
Which
it uses the
translation?
word-
Hold
it
on, which
uses the word harlot.
I used the word harlot. Yeah.
Is that one okay with you?
Okay, what does harlot mean?
Father Tristan, are you feeling okay?
Yeah, why do you ask?
Because you said you weren't.
Yeah, I just had a rough morning, you know.
Really?
It's okay. We're fine. We're here now. I really thought about having my spot
Cancelled?
replaced and filled, but
Really?
you know we're on a shortage of priests these days for the show, so
Yeah.
I decided
Yeah.
to suck it up.
We need more vocations.
Yeah.
for feeding fathers.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't this want to make you become a priest?
I know, seriously,
Yeah.
dude. Good food.
You know, I was thinking about today when I woke up how different the world is now that Father Andy's a core bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's changed.
I know, man.
It's more red.
Yeah. Red wave.
That's funny, man.
But that
I'm
was
glad
cool.
you're here.
That was cool
Thank
to
you.
see that ceremony.
Yeah, that was amazing. Maybe you'd be a core bishop one day.
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, it was cool. A lot of people were a lot of people asking you guys like, what does it mean that he's a core bishop or
Yeah.
Yeah.
stuff like that. I got so sick of it
Yeah.
because it's kind of like hard to explain too. Like, yeah, it says bishop, but he's not a bishop. He's not even
Yeah.
like auxiliary bishop or something like that, right? What are you guys telling people?
I say it's a
Honorary
honorary
title.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's an elevation, a recognition of hard work, and you know, kind of a veteran priest. That kind of idea.
That's
Yeah,
veteran
Yeah.
priest. I like
Veteran
that.
priest.
veteran
Yeah.
priest.
You know what else I realized too? It's not just like I know in the Roman Catholic Church they have what's called a Monsignor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just us that have this title of core bishop or khuri, as we say in Sudath. What's his name? Saint John Vianney. He was called the cure.
Cure de Ars.
Of Ars.
Cure de Ars.
Yeah.
I was so shocked when I realized that one
Yeah,
time.
isn't that pretty cool? Like
It is
it's like
very
the same
cool.
word. And
Yeah,
even
yeah.
in French, was
Yeah,
it in France?
French,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember like I would think cure of ours, you know, like when I first
Yeah.
would see that that's what they would call him, but then I realized that
Yeah.
it means khuri. Like
So that
he's the
there-
pastor, he's the
Yeah,
priest
there's-
of,
I guess
of ours.
there's like always been some kind of tradition where a priest gets elevated in some way. I don't know.
Father Philip was telling me that core bishops actually had, you know, faculties to do things like
Back in the day.
Back in the day, for example, they would basically they'd be a priest, but they'd rule as if they were like the bishop of a village. And,
Oh, I see. Because the bishop couldn't like, you know, call them easily.
yeah,
and-
exactly. So they had faculties to bless lectors and bless
Okay.
subdeacons,
Minor orders, yeah.
Oh, okay.
and things like that. So
That's
That's
actually
cool.
pretty cool.
Can an abbot do that, by the way, technically speaking?
Very technically, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, not like the bishop can give me permission to do it in the monastery, only for the monks.
Oh, for the monks. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Anyway,
cool, man. Anyway, next week is Thanksgiving. For those that are watching and that wait every Thursday morning for episodes.
Look, I think they get released at like 4 a.m. Is there like a timer
that
or
right?
something? Yeah, like when I wake up, I see it's there. Oh, 2 hours ago. I'm like,
Oh yeah, I think they like automatically just
yeah,
put
just
them
Thursday.
Thursday mornings. Yeah,
But
but
maybe that's to cater to the East Coast audience that are that's 3 hours ahead of us.
actually
They need to
it's-
see it first thing, you know.
Yeah, it's for indexing the episode and East Coast. So yeah, you're
So I
right.
was right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're right about
Yeah.
that. That's what they told me.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be cool if like there was a timer, like 2 hours away,
Like
released?
countdown?
We're not that cool, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, who's up at 5 a.m. to watch the timer, anyways?
Not me.
Not you. No, but there will be no episode next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. So we're gonna, we
Watch-
hope you guys don't are not so sad and
Yeah.
depressed.
I hope you still are able to find something to do.
Yeah, and we hope you're still gonna have a good Thanksgiving, even though there will be no feeding fathers on Thanksgiving. You know,
Watch the
watch-
Cowboys game.
watch the Lions game.
Yeah,
too.
Lions, Cowboys.
And Packers always play or no?
No, Lions and Cowboys
Oh,
actually.
those are the two. Okay.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving, huh? I was just at Youth for Truth, and I thought about something to talk about, related to Thanksgiving, and I just read the one passage I could think of from the the one leper going back to give thanks. Should I read that passage right now and we talk about it for a bit? That's a great passage.
Yeah, read it. Why not?
You're the host.
What do you think? Yeah? Okay. So, Luke chapter 17 says this. Verse 11. On the way to Jerusalem, he was passing along between Samaria and Galilee, and as he entered a village, he was met by 10 lepers who stood at a distance and lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. When he saw them, he said to them, Go and show yourselves to the priests. And as they went, they were cleansed. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. Now he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus said, Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner? And he said to him, Rise and go your way. Your faith has made you well. What do you guys think?
There's obviously a good lesson there on the surface for anyone that's reading it about Thanksgiving, about the importance of knowing where your blessings come from and knowing where the source of goodness comes from, source of mercy and healing comes from, and going and saying thanks and recognizing that and allowing it to remain a part of your life rather than going and leaving, having that miracle done to you and thinking you can continue just to depend on your own self, on your own wisdom, on your own strength.
Yeah.
I mean, Thanksgiving is so the Eucharist. So in Chaldean,
the
we
word
use
Eucharist.
Qurbana,
Yeah.
which means offering. So it's a little bit, we see the Eucharist from a different sense in that way. Eucharist is a Greek word, Eucharisteo. It means thanksgiving, right? So Jesus gave thanks, and that's where the word Eucharist is from. And the fact that the Eucharist, which is the source and summit of the Christian life, means thanksgiving, and we use it for the term of the most important sacrament. I think it speaks to the fact that Thanksgiving is at the heart of the Christian life, Christian spirituality, right? And the idea is we can't pay God back with anything. We really can't. All the gifts that God has given us are free gifts, from our very life to our salvation, even after we've sinned, to eternal life, which is promised to give to us if we're faithful, etc. Everything that God gives to us is pure gift. We earn none of it, right? And God needs nothing, and we have nothing that we can give to God anyways, and anything that we would have to give to God is just a gift given to us first by Him. So the thing that we can give Him is just the true act of love, which in response to a gift is just thank you.
Yeah.
Also, there's going back to Jesus and saying thank you. Like Father Enkidu is saying, there's nothing I can do for my own ability to reflect the love that God has shown me in creating me, and then even more so in saving me. But to really say thank you to Jesus, to really go back to Jesus as this one leper did, that can only fully be done, I think, through his church, where you have the Qurbana, where you have the Eucharist. The best way that I can show the Lord that I want to thank Him and I want to love Him in return for how He's loved me is to become a part of Him. So that when He looks at me, He can see a reflection of Himself. he can see me looking back at him and doing my best with all the graces he gives me to love him, to love my neighbor in the same way. So we mentioned Eucharist. That's at the center of the Catholic faith. There's no Eucharist without the church. There's no Eucharist without the household, the safe haven that Jesus has left for me to take shelter in on purpose. So I think that's a good aspect of Thanksgiving to keep in mind as well. Especially now that for us in our liturgy, we're in the season of the sanctification of the church, as we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about so much more than just saying what you're thankful for, thinking about that once a year on Thanksgiving Day. Like sometimes we only ask God for things that, it's like we limit what God can do for us. We think that we only should ask him for physical things, for things of this world, physical healing even, right? Like this guy realized that he was healed by Jesus. And the other ones, it's almost like they realized they were healed and they just said, okay, that's cool. I was healed, right? But this guy realized he was healed. He went back to Jesus because this guy could heal you. This guy has that power. Imagine what more he could do for your life. Why would you not want him a part of your life? And why would you not want to follow him if he can do that for you? So, that's what I was thinking when you mentioned about the church, right? The church is there for us. God has given us that. Why don't we ever thank God for the church? Thank God for the graces that he gives us in the sacraments, confession and the Eucharist. Like these are the things that we sometimes take for granted, and we don't really realize the impact that they have on our souls and our salvation.
And that's a gift that's given to all as well.
Everybody has access to it.
Everyone has access to it.
Yeah.
Material things, some people have more than others, and at some degree there's an end there, right? It's shallow because it can stop at some place, and you can list a bunch of things you're thankful for, which is good. I think you should do that. You should think about your life and highlight every small thing, including, right, family, friends. But the greater things are right in front of us, accessible, such as the gifts of God, the greatest gift, which is grace. And to be, as Father Chris, I think he was saying it really well, the kind of reciprocation of how we see God in ourselves and God sees himself in us, right? And I think being thankful for things such as that and meditating on it and reflecting upon it, that's a form of adoration. That's a form of contemplation. And your Thanksgiving can turn into an even higher form of prayer where you're just meditating and loving God.
Yeah, so it's, again, it's more than just saying, I'm thankful for my family. It's an act of the will that you are actually worshiping God through that. It's like part of worshiping God.
What I love that you just said, there's different levels of material wealth for different kinds of people, different circumstances, whatever. But in the church, everyone has access to the same riches.
Everything, yeah.
That's really cool, actually. I don't think about that enough myself.
So this is supposed to be reflective in life, right? The attitude of Thanksgiving should be reflected in the way that we live, behave, the way that we think, the way that we treat other people, things like that. So, you asked the question, is it proper for a Christian to give into sadness? I'm just going to I'm going to
give in?
You're asking us?
Or to be.
To be sad is one thing, right? I mean,
Jesus was sad.
Yeah, so there's proper times, I think, where, the appropriate feeling to have is sad. But,
rejoice always.
Yeah, that's St. Paul, right?
Right? Yeah.
Rejoice in the Lord. I would say that. Yeah, I would say what you basically just said. There's going to be times where you're sad, you can't control it.
It doesn't mean you have to feel good or feel comfortable at all times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you said give in to sadness.
Yeah.
It's like willingly choosing to
Let's see, why
be
would
miserable.
Yeah,
right?
so to be like overtaken by it.
Yeah.
No. That's very common in our culture, actually.
Yeah, nowadays I think it is.
Even Chaldean culture, like especially for funerals, like you do extra things to make yourself feel more sad when the way
Yeah.
you're feeling sad is already enough. You know, you don't have to torture yourself.
But just really quick. At the same time, like if something is happening to make you sad, I think it's okay to let yourself feel sad about stuff
that's fine
without
too.
doing the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I completely agree with that.
Sorry to interrupt.
And like, so it's like indulging in your sadness. I don't think you should do that. I think you should, because if we're going to hope in the Lord, if we're going to rejoice in the Lord, there has to be a specific mindset where you understand what your end goal is and what your purpose on this earth is. Whether if you're physically hurt or internally hurt, right? That feeling might remain, but there's just something about the soul where God can give you those moments where it's those moments of joy that overtake everything, especially when you're in communion with Him and He's giving you those gifts. So I think giving into sadness intentionally and like purposely wanting to be sad, I think we talked about this before, like listening to music just so I can feel sad. No, I don't see a point in that. But yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, being overcome by experiencing sadness is a part of life. It's part of the tragedy of life, which I think is very normal and expected and so on. But being overcome by sadness, which is becoming a wider phenomenon, I think it really is. You know, like I'm not an expert.
Are you talking about like people having clinical depression?
Maybe that, although I won't get into the like clinician
mental
part of it because that's not my field. But when people are too consumed by their sadness and they just enter this dark place such that they don't recognize any longer the gifts of God, and they're not really aware of them anymore, and they can't rejoice side by side their sadness. I think that's when it becomes a problem. The darkness just kind of overcomes somebody. I think that's where we've crossed the line, where we've allowed ourselves to reject or forget about the gifts that God has given us and to see it as gift and so rejoice in it as gift, even alongside maybe some kind of grief or something like that.
Is that in some people's control though? Like now you made me think about it with like clinical depression and stuff like that. Maybe some people really can't control that, or they have something psychologically where there's like a malfunction in their brain where this is just how it is.
I mean, look, again, and that's where I'm not gonna, I can only say that I'm not an expert, so I don't know. I'm not a neurologist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or any of those things. But I can say that I know people that are otherwise very well ordered by an act of the will or maybe by a neglect, allow themselves to get into such a dark place and they don't have to.
So for a lot of the cases, we could say it's kind of the fault of the person.
It
right?
can be, yeah. So in the tradition, this is called listlessness. Have you heard that word?
Listlessness. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah,
I've seen that word a couple times.
Yeah.
Listless.
This is one of the 7 deadly sins, actually. I think it's been kind of mixed up with acedia.
Okay, sloth, kind of.
Yeah, so they say sloth. Sloth. People today think sloth is laziness. That's not one of the 7 deadly sins, though. Acedia or sloth, it's translated into English as sloth. Acedia is like a major like mediocrity in spirituality. So it's
lukewarmness.
Lukewarmness, yeah, exactly. Lukewarmness, not taking the spiritual life seriously enough to be aware of the things that God is doing, of the gifts that God has given, of the power of God in one's life, just kind of like being whatever about the whole thing. It leads to the other deadly sins, which is why it's a dangerous one. But it also lends itself into sadness because you might, it's like apathy, just like this non-feeling, so you can be not depressed, but you can also be, totally like colorless in life.
So we were mentioning Thanksgiving earlier. I'll open up a little bit and say that in chapters here and there of life, as many people experience, where there's sadness, that I've felt. Speaking of Thanksgiving, just being thankful for what's going on during Mass. I mean, maybe not everyone's like able to understand it in the same way or something, or approach it in the same way, but being thankful during Mass for what Jesus has done for us, not obviously through his redemption of us on the cross, but also through all the other blessings he gives us in our life. Just expressing thanksgiving, knowing that there's a bigger story than just what's going on in your own head, that on its own is consoling. That's a lot right there. What Jesus has done for us in redeeming us, that is infinite. That's of infinite value. And then you start thinking of like things that are just more immediate to you on an everyday basis, things that are going actually good in your life, people that you have, situations that you have, opportunities that you have, that are all positive, that are all blessings. When you recall those and remind yourself of the reality of those things, you get out of your own head a little bit, and it does help escape that dark cloud that seems to be always hovering over, because that's not the end of the story, or it's not all there is to the story. Things are still being written, things are still happening. And so an attitude of thanksgiving really can change, I think, a situation where someone lets acedia or acedia, whatever it's called, set in, or some kind of serious sadness set in.
Yeah. There's a virtue there where you can just act as you're supposed to the certain circumstance that you're in. Right? If you're at a funeral, like I would be.
We priests have to do that a lot.
Yeah, I would be like dumbfounded if someone's there like happy and laughing and whatever. That emotion doesn't fit the scene, the setting. Same with a wedding. Like someone's getting married, it's a cause to be joyful, to be happy. So as priests we do, right? We have days where we experience all this in one.
Yeah.
Imagine if like you had to listen to a sad song before every funeral to make yourself like ready to
get in the mood.
Yeah. So even that's fake though, right? It's
The liturgy our liturgy, the funeral rite, is the best.
Yeah.
Like with the madrasha and everything, it totally gets you into that mood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like that's the best way to actually feel the sadness and like experience the moment.
But it's not prompting you to just feel, like it's reminding you of crazy realities,
deep stuff. Yeah. Realizing the facts. Like it makes me think of the guy in the story. Luke mentioned something. Like the reason why he went back, it says he realized he was healed. When he realized he was healed, so he noticed what happened in his body and the healing that he received, and he realized it, and then he goes back to Jesus. So, it got me thinking, like, what about the others? Did they not realize it?
Well, I mean, don't we do that though? I mean, we do that all the time.
Yeah,
I can speak for myself for sure. An unreflective kind of lifestyle, you're not going to see. Although objectively you're given many gifts by God, all of us are. But if I'm unreflective about the things that are happening in my life, there's no way I'm going to recognize them as gifts from God. And so there's no way I would respond in thanksgiving. And so I will live this kind of, again, black and white, gray kind of lifestyle.
Unexamined life.
Yeah.
I think the guys in the story, all of them, all 10, they kind of made an act of faith at the beginning. Like it seems like Jesus was kind of testing them, like, saying, go to the priest, because the priest obviously had to examine them, any leper who had the skin disease, before they would be, able to enter the temple and society again. And so they went there. And so I think it was kind of an act of faith on all of their parts, but they didn't continue. Sometimes that's what I think of. Like we sometimes make acts of faith and we walk with Jesus, but we don't continue.
Have you ever seen like a kid beg for a gift or something, and they're asking their parents, and I really want this, and then finally, that the parents will get it for them, and then they're so overwhelmed by like what they got and like happy that they forget to think.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good example.
Yeah.
So this would be the difference between healing and salvation, right? Because a lot of people today, to be honest with you, personally, I like more emphasis being given to healing today in Christian circles, Catholic circles,
Inner healing.
inner healing and, reconciling things with God and within yourself, towards other people, etc. Like that's all healing stuff. It's good. More of a psychological awareness of things that are going on in the interior life. I think it's very healthy. But healing is not the end of the story for us. Healing is a means to an end. The end is salvation. And if we're just using this story as an example of the kind of totality of it, we go to God for healing, and He heals us, but then we have to go back for Thanksgiving, and it's that act of Thanksgiving. Because what do we do when we're giving thanks to God? We say to God, I recognize everything that I have as a gift from you, and I'm offering you myself in thanksgiving. Right? He falls at Jesus' feet, this guy, right? I'm offering you myself in thanksgiving. And so what's the result of it? There's this personal exchange. God gives to us, we give back to God.
Yeah.
God gives Himself to us, we give ourselves back to God. That's salvation.
God wants us to have that joy.
Yeah.
And what you said got me thinking about the healing thing. What was Jesus' first miracle? It wasn't a healing miracle, right? It was the wedding at Cana. So it was like wine represents joy, and Jesus wants to give us that joy. He wants us to have that relationship with Him. And so while He did many healing miracles and He raised people from the dead, His first miracle was not. His first miracle was about the wedding feast, which is ultimately like the way that we participate in that now is through the Eucharist, and that's what we will do in heaven. We will rejoice with the Lord in the everlasting banquet, and so He wants to give us that joy. He doesn't only want to heal us. It's like that's okay. Yes, God can heal. Is that all He can do for you?
Yeah, right.
He can do so much more for you. So don't only ask Him to heal you. Ask Him for that joy and for that peace, and live that way as well.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
So in the Eucharist, the liturgy is so beautiful the way that it portrays all of this stuff in symbols, because the Christian life is all about this exchange. God gives to us, we give back to God, and God gives us more, and we give Him back to God, and God gives us even more, and we give back to God. Like that's the whole of Christian life. It's this exchange of gifts between us and God. And God is obviously the first to be the giver here. So in the liturgy, the way that this is kind of symbolized and the effect of it is when the Shemasha goes after the homily and during the offertory prayer hymn, the Shemasha goes and he gives the priest the bread and the wine, right? That's supposed to represent, he's doing that in the name of all the people and in the name of the church. We're giving God, the kind of basic staples of human living. Bread representing sustenance, wine representing joy. We give that over to the priest, who is acting in the person of Christ, who takes it on the altar, offers it to God, and it becomes the divine body and blood of Christ, right? Which is also symbolic of what happens with us when we give ourselves as gifts, right? In giving God thanksgiving, giving Him back the gifts that He first gave to us, God takes them, but not so that He possesses them. He doesn't take them away from us. He takes them so that He can transform them and elevate them and then give them back to us in this greater fashion. So Pope Benedict said that. He said, most people are afraid of handing things over to Christ because they think that Jesus will just kind of like, He's like this monster, right? That He's just going to take away all your stuff. But that's not really the case. He only wants to receive it from you so that He can give it back to you in an infinitely fuller form.
That happens with yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that because you have to imitate Christ in some way or embrace conversion after conversion by removing yourself from sin or from bad habits, you think you're losing on something. But then Jesus says, if you lose your life for my sake, you gain everything after that. And it's like, I'll go back to like the image of the church that we're in this season. The church is this school of love, I think, at the end of the day. This house where you are loved and shown how to love to do the same, to express the same kind of love yourself. And I love the fact that it's not just exclusive to how our prayers are. It's something that is universally there in the church. This idea that she's this bride. She's this bride that keeps getting lost. She's this bride that keeps failing to learn the lesson of love that her perfect groom is showing her. So I was looking at the one of the Basilica hymn for this coming weekend's evening prayer. So I was looking at it, and it's just so descriptive. The details are so beautiful.
This is my favorite one, dude. This is both the words and the melody as well, bro. Like I think this is my favorite melody of the Celtic. Yeah.
It's the thing we say at weddings.
Yeah.
So give thanks, O Church, O Queen, to the Prince who has espoused you and brought you into his summer home, and given you the dowry of blood that flowed from his side for you, and clothed you with the robe of splendid unending light, and placed upon your head the adorned and illustrious crown of glory, and as with a pure thurible has perfumed your scent before all, and like a flower blossoms and the buds of spring has increased your radiance, and freed you on Golgotha from slavery to idols. Therefore adore his cross on which he suffered for you, and exalted your lowliness. Honor the priests who extol you with their works, and cry out to him, glory to you. So when you see that, you see the work of this groom and showing you that when you give yourself to him, you don't lose yourself. You don't lose out on the things of life. You don't lose out necessarily on things that you're so attached to. These things all get transformed along with your heart and your mind, which is the most important thing you technically have to give. And it transforms you into this radiant bride, smelling like this divine incense. And
that's amazing.
There's just a lot of beauty wrapped up in one image.
Yeah. What's that thing about the summer home?
I wonder what it is in Gushma. Is there an manual here?
Is there a manual in here? Among all these books that are kind of random?
Okay, listen. Are we just
going to sing the whole thing right now?
Yeah, Qaytone, is that it? No?
There's mention of a dowry too.
Let me compare it to the English.
The dowry of his blood.
Yeah, like the price he pays to have you in his home is his blood.
But dowry isn't just, it's like...
Dowry is what...
It's marriage imagery.
It's a marriage imagery.
Yeah, it's the price you pay for the woman.
Obviously, but exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't the summer home
it's the price... Wait, it's the price you pay for the woman. Yeah, give him a couple cows.
You give the dad something to satisfy his whatever he wants, and then he gives you his daughter.
Do Bebot Nai still do that here?
Do who? I hear it once in a while from different people, not just the ones you said. I'm American, by the way. I don't know about you guys.
No. I'm just asking.
I don't belong to a certain village.
Are you proud to be an American?
I'm proud to be.
But they say that you're most familiar with one.
Yeah. I'm just asking you because I think you know a lot about that one.
I've been to it twice. I've been to both mine twice.
Yeah. I've never been to one.
Exactly. I've been to that one, and Tel Kepe, and El Qush, and Tiscopa.
What, the villages?
Yeah.
We're talking about the villages right now.
What are you talking about?
Never mind. I thought you said you've been to like a dowry ceremony. Is that
what? I thought you were saying, what's a dowry ceremony?
I don't know.
Every mass is technically a dowry ceremony, if you think about it.
Wow. Are you serious right now?
I was very serious. I didn't know. I thought that's what you were talking about.
Does it have to do with like the consummation of the marriage, you think? Like the summer home thingy?
It might be like, that's why I want to know
because
the
like
nice warm home.
The images.
Yeah, I think it's Qaytone.
Yeah. There we go.
Qaytone, his summer home. Yeah.
Like a honeymoon type of thing, right?
But it's
maybe,
that's what it seems like.
Yeah, I think it goes along with the imagery. Like he's trying to court you. He's trying
making the bride feel so good. And,
he's trying to impress you. And then you just keep turning to other things because you think those things are where happiness is, where peace is, where satisfaction is, instead of being transformed into something that will make you more than just a human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, look for the good things in people, not for what they have.
Have you guys read the book of Hosea? The prophet Hosea?
Yeah. Yes.
It's crazy, dude.
That one is crazy.
Yeah. So
Ezekiel 16, that will never leave my
that?
mind. One day, one of my friends who I think was reading Bible in a year, one of my close friends, very funny person. So I was very surprised, like to hear this from her. She texted, "Have you ever read Ezekiel 16?"
Oh,
And I said, I probably have ran across it once or twice, maybe for school, but let me go back and read it again.
okay.
It's one long chapter of this whole theme.
Really?
That
Like Israel being a
throughout-
whore.
Yeah. What? What did you say?
It's in the Bible.
I was not ready. I was not ready for that. That was not on my bingo card for this episode.
It's in Scripture. Israel whores over other gods.
Yeah, sure.
Are you
This
guys
guy didn't
laughing?
kill this guy right now.
Yeah, he's dead. He's gone.
It's so funny.
Miami fish.
Yeah, it's about bridegroom imagery. God is the bridegroom of Israel.
Yeah.
Israel.
So it's a whole
it's really
chapter
hard in
about
here
how
right now.
Israel, about how God has been trying to court Israel and teach Israel about true love, and how He's trying to impress her as a groom, impress as a bride, and then she keeps being
Doing bad stuff.
doing
it
bad stuff,
says
and
Israel
I
whores.
know.
and turning to.
What?
We have to repeat it that many times. But yeah, she
Should I
keeps turning
pull
to
it
other
up?
gods.
No,
she
should we
keeps
read
the
it?
Bible.
She
No,
keeps
should we
committing
read it? No,
idolatry.
I'll read it.
I believe
No, I'm gonna
you.
read
I
it. I'm gonna
believe
read
you.
it. No, I have to read it.
I really
I
believe
have
you.
to read it. Ezekiel 16.
Okay.
No, you guys are gonna.
No, yeah, go ahead, please. And then I can read the book of Hosea after.
In the meantime, why is that there? Okay, why is it there? Because the Old Testament, especially the prophets, right, speak of the relationship between God and Israel as a relationship between husband and
Yeah.
wife, right? So God brought His bride to Himself and bedazzled her and decked her out and did all this stuff for her, gave her everything.
And then she just
And then she used everything, all the gifts that God gave her, to spend it on the other nations. And so she is portrayed as an adulterous woman, right? Because she took the gifts that God gave her and then she used it to, let's say, hand herself over to these other nations. And then they stripped her of all of her
Yeah.
goods and left her, you know, like
Yeah. One of the strongest sentences in that chapter. It's like, you gave yourself to anyone who would pass by.
yeah.
and God made
But it's us too. Like
Yeah.
anything that passes by, any trend in social media, any trend that other people are doing, you give yourself to it easily rather than letting God transform you. You think these things will make you have some kind of status. It's imagery, and you can talk about it, but it's very practical. It's not something just to theorize about. It's very practical.
Yeah. God made, or He allowed the prophet Hosea to literally go through that. Like he married a very bad girl,
Yeah.
and and then He told him, "This is what it's like with me.
Yeah.
You know, this is what you do to me. Like you cheat on me when."
God's a
When you
good teacher,
sin.
man.
Did
God
you
is a
find it?
great teacher.
I did, but this translation uses the word.
This translation. Okay, did you find?
Which
uses the
translation?
word-
Hold
it
on, which
uses the word harlot.
I used the word harlot. Yeah.
Is that one okay with you?
Okay, what does harlot mean?
Bad girl, like Father Simon said. Simon
You
says,
multiplied your harlotry
means-
also with the trading land of Chaldea.
"Oh my
dude.
gosh,
Man.
And even with this, you were not satisfied. You know, they weren't satisfied with this.
Wow.
By the way, it mentions Assyrians too.
Oh.
Just
How
to make sure.
lovesick is your heart? Wow, that's a good one.
Wow.
Says the Lord God.
Ezekiel 16. Well, I don't recall that
But
chapter.
it's really good to
I'm going to
meditate
read it
on.
later today.
Yeah, I advise anyone to look that up.
And like when you're reading it, to think of like
Yourself.
yourself and your sins and
100%. Yeah.
wow.
Amen.
That's deep.
The whole book of Hosea, as you're saying, is
Yeah.
It
basically
was
that.
like that too.
It's
As
an
well.
expanded version of that.
Mm. Wow.
It's ayab.
I mean, yeah.
So
What does the word ayab mean?
I don't
Can you
know.
Translate it? Does it mean like
It's like shy,
It's not
you know?
inappropriate. It's worse than
Naughty?
inappropriate. Naughty.
No, it's like a shy, inappropriate.
I have no, it's like
it's Arabic, right?
inappropriate,
Ayab
yeah,
is Arabic.
yeah.
Inappropriate.
Inappropriate. Yeah.
so
But yeah, it's like
by the time we're on our next episode, it will be the beginning of Advent.
Mhm.
So this is the last liturgical week of the year,
yeah.
right? The season, the fourth Sunday of the season of
When
the
this
church.
comes out, yeah.
When this comes out,
Mhm.
it'll be out on Thursday, and then the Sunday after will be the last one.
True.
Speaking of the church, just really quick, it gives us this liturgical year. It gives us this way
Yeah.
to see time, to understand time, and to keep up with time and the way that God has shown Himself to us throughout time,
Yeah.
so that we're always remembering what He's done for us, so that we can be thankful for what He's done for us. So it's kind of cool to know that there is a liturgical calendar. There are these seasons. There are these things to focus on. There are these ways to pray, because it helps you understand why you should be thankful to God.
Yeah, we need structure in our lives, and
That
God has
too.
given us that. I mean, that's what liturgy literally means, right? Taqsa, it means order, structure. And we need that because we're kind of mkharabatin sometimes. Do
What is that?
Yeah,
mean? Mkharabatin.
you not know what that means?
No, I mean for the people.
Oh, yeah. It means like disordered,
Yeah,
There you go.
disorganized. Yeah.
a mess.
Messed up.
Yeah, messed up.
And then, so this season is eschatological. So it's like where all the other seasons were looking, in the past, the life of Christ or the apostles or whatever. This one is the one that where we look forward to something. When
At the end.
Yeah, at the end, when Christ will, bring His bride to Himself, the church, at the end of time, and the celebration of which will be the heavenly banquet of the Lamb, right? This big
Yeah.
heavenly hafla,
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be the best wedding party.
man.
It'll be the one that breaks all the trends.
Finally.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have to wait for that to like break all the trends and stuff and like not have crazy wedding parties and
Definitely.
stuff.
And then the church will sing the bye-bye song to the world.
They want us to talk about
I know why.
sacramentals.
I don't know.
I don't know. You guys
Of
want to talk
what?
about
No,
sacramentals?
I mean, we have to wrap it up now, anyways, because the food is just about ready.
Well, okay, how about this really quick? What's your favorite sacramental?
Holy water.
Holy
Oh,
water.
that's good.
I like holy water.
Signing the cross. Isn't that considered
Ooh.
a sacramental?
Yeah.
The rosary, would that be considered? Kind of.
Sacramental is any of these holy objects that
That are like in the church and involved in the
that
sacraments.
confer a level of grace, Not like sacraments, but there's like
Would a
small
crucifix be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
icons would be
Icons. So, can you explain what a sacramental is?
it's a
Again?
blessed object used as a means of grace for one's own spiritual growth somehow or another. So it could be oil.
It's like an
salt.
extension of the sacraments.
Yeah,
Right? So it doesn't confer the sacramental grace,
No.
right? But it extends that grace to you in some way in your life.
There's
right?
there's
It's like a
there's
sprinkling
there's
of it.
grace and then there's grace. So there's like supernatural or theological grace. That's the actual divine
Yeah.
spirit himself. You have an encounter with him directly through, indirectly
Like
through the
absolution
sacraments,
of
but-
your sins in the sacrament of confession,
yes,
for
or
example.
the Eucharist or baptism,
Right.
right? These sacraments, the 7 sacraments, are an encounter with the divine life of God. We receive God's own
Yeah.
divine heavenly life, right? His divinity. Grace, that's supernatural grace. Like grace that comes through sacramentals is, of a much more smaller level than that. It's an ordering us toward the sacramental life and toward the divine life, but it's not this heavenly encounter with it the way that the sacraments are.
Yeah.
Did you say what your favorite one is?
My favorite sacramental, if I just think of like objects, it would probably I haven't thought about it yet. Actually, I don't know what my favorite
Okay,
sacramental
maybe
is.
you can tell us while
Maybe
we're
it's like a
eating.
miraculous medal.
Okay.
Cute.
All right. You guys
Let's
done
go
have
eat,
some
huh?
shawarma and then ice cream?
I'm very excited.
Let's do it.
Yellow.
Juicy Shawarma sponsored us for today. Thank you guys so much for these shawarma bowls and shawarma wraps.
Juicy shawarma and Dilly's ice cream.
Yes.
I have my favorite thing that I'm eating right now, an affogato, and I'm almost done with it. That's how fast. Oh, I think our producers are sliding us something.
What's an avocado?
Affogato is it's an Italian dessert where you pour a shot of espresso onto ice cream. But I think it's even better when you use soft serve ice cream and not normal ice cream.
Yeah. We also have a bunch of other dessert from Fidel's sister. Fidel runs Juicy Shawarma, and Sweets by Farmanda give us more dessert. And their sister Frodette is here helping, and their friend Dilly runs Dilly's ice cream. Great people, great food. So what do you guys do for Thanksgiving normally?
House hop,
Yeah.
house hopping, you know.
Yeah, I go to
Wow.
families usually.
Yeah.
Do you have napkins?
There's mass.
Oh yeah.
Can you pass out a spoon or something?
No, I'm good. Do you go to like church people's houses? Because usually for me, like I'll stick to family on
Yeah, I stick to
days
family.
like that, you know?
Yeah, family as well.
For the last like I don't know how many years, like since I was in seminary and going into priesthood, I always go to family's house first, and then I go to like basically what becomes my second family for holidays, traditions, the Faridas.
Yeah.
So everything's
Me too, actually.
Yeah,
Because my sister's
Thanksgiving,
married to Larson.
First I go to my family, then I go to it's always at Rafi's house, right?
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
It's the only day of the year that I watch football, and
Really?
I love watching football on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it's weird.
It's very American of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is enjoyable on Thanksgiving for some, like, extra enjoyable.
Something different about it.
Even though football sucks.
I love that for you.
Thank you, man.
How are the bowls? Have you guys gotten there yet or no? Because the wrap is amazing.
I'm still busy with the affogato, man. I can't put it down.
So this is a cool thing that they do. You know, most shawarma trucks will just have the wraps and stuff, but they do yellow rice bowls as well.
Mm.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Turkey is. Come on. What's your opinion on turkey, guys?
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Except
Really?
when they make it really juicy and you know what when they do that.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people are able, right?
Not a lot of
I
people.
think you
are
gotta be
able.
skilled for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta know what you're doing, big time.
Yeah, most of the time it's very dry.
My mom's gotten pretty good at making it juicy, so that's good.
Okay.
Love that for you.
Okay, well, what's your favorite side dish? Mac and cheese? Yeah.
You know? But that's not like there. I don't know if I've ever had mac and cheese on Thanksgiving.
Really?
But like
I don't remember.
traditional like side dishes is cornbread one.
I mean,
it's
for white people, yeah, I guess.
If it is, bro, cornbread is amazing.
I don't know.
cornbread.
I don't care.
I don't think we have much white food, bro.
I know, man.
No, for
It's like there's
Do we?
dolma and
But there is. I think like these last couple of years they've been adding like white food. You know?
By the way,
Yes.
we love white people.
oh yeah.
some ladies made us food last year at the monastery. They brought a bunch for Thanksgiving,
Just like,
and they made it totally like
Just
a
like-
white Thanksgiving.
Was it like cranberry sauce
Yeah,
and stuff?
everything. It was actually really nice, to be honest with you. Oh, that's not asking for anybody to do that. Please, it's too much.
now you already said it.
All right, I'm gonna try one of these desserts. This looks amazing. It's lotus with the Biscoff, I think, or yeah, with some type of cream custard thing.
You want?
Oh, that's
I'll
amazing.
grab it. Don't worry. Just leave it open.
Wait, she came and she brought what is it? Cinnamon cheesecake, bro?
Oh.
What did she say? Cinnamon cheesecake?
Bro, these?
Like,
Yeah,
I-
so this
Churro.
churro cheesecake.
Yeah.
This I've tried at their house.
And there's
Strawberries.
Chocolate over
Chocolate over strawberries. This is
So-
amazing cheesecake, bro. But one of my
So I
favorites,
just want to bite of this.
dude. These lotus cream puffs are unreal.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
No, stop, bro.
Come on, bro.
You pass me another spoon, please.
Well, have one of these.
No, right now, no, right now.
What's the issue here?
What's the problem?
Nothing, man. Nothing. It's just, you
Just
know,
say what you feel.
there's just temptation, man. We talked a lot about
You good, bro?
being thank you
Lotus
God for
cream
this
puff.
food, by the way.
Leave the whole thing.
Oh wow. Yeah.
There's some on your beard.
One bite.
Wow. Pretty good.
The monks are gonna have a lot of leftovers to eat today, bro. Cool. Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
God bless you and your
We'll see you
families.
guys. We'll talk about Advent, I guess, next time.